Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. Today, we're speaking with Denise Mange, and Denise is epic. Just absolutely epic. From her capacity to tune into galactic, our guides, and this passion place within her that's alive, and she guides so many people in this, whether you're a pet owner or not, whether you feel a connection to animals or feel them from time to time as guides showing up, inspiring and activating something within you. Um, her consciousness as a gateway for how we're unleashing our intuition and tuning into these beneficial and benevolent beings that are helping us as we get to discover more about what I consider our favorite subject, which is us. Um, and and what loving energy to be in. And today we're going to discover what else they have to share at this point in our evolution right now. So we're going to drop in with Denise, and again, we're going to talk about unleashing your intuition with pets and animals. We're getting into shape shifting. We're getting into live Q&A, and there's going to be a lot on the call today. Um, and with that, Denise, welcome to today's call on BTO.
You so much. I always love being here and I love your audience. I just love your platform. And I know we're going to have beautiful discussions with the animals supporting us every step of the way.
Animals supporting us, how is that showing up for you and your clients at this time now? Is it taking a shift? Is there something that's being revealed that we're ready to maybe embrace, or are they shifting how they're communicating with us?
They're definitely expanding their role in our spirituality, right? The beauty of our animal companions is they've been along with us for this ride every step of the way. I always like to kind of ground in some of the background and the past relationship we've had with them. And it starts with, the stories of paradise lost, of the Garden of Eden, and how they were always beside us when we decided it was time to leave the garden and explore individuality and duality in the world. They were walking right, in lockstep. When we talk about, the earliest form of art, cave art in France, it featured none other than animals, right? So they've always played such a prominent part in our lives, our cultural existence, our cultural references. And it goes deeper. It goes beyond that. Not only do they play the role of companion and kind of the smart sidekick going around helping us lead the way, but we also know they've had really powerful, influential roles beyond that when it comes to our spirituality, right? Even like going back to ancient Mesopotamia, Sumeria, Egypt. We have the Babylonian Birdman. Some of you might be familiar with some of the hieroglyphics, which featured a man with a bird's body, and he was holding a pine cone and this really special, intriguing thing that looked like a handbag or a purse.
Hmm.
Even back in Babylonian times, they understood that animals were part of our spiritual learning, right? A lot of people associate that pine cone that the Birdman was holding, or even just the general symbol of a pine cone, with our pineal gland, which is the seat of our intuition. Ancient philosophers say that that bag, that handbag that we see repeated in, various cultures over time in different hieroglyphs and artwork is really a representation of our spirituality and understanding of the universe and the world. So it's interesting that it wasn't a man handing it to another man. It was a half man, half bird really handing over these tools and knowledge. So our understanding of animals goes so beyond just how amazing our pets are or how intriguing and fun it is to watch animals in the wild. They truly are frequency anchors and holders of wisdom. And so, of course, all of us enjoy our pets on the day to day. We interact with them in really fun ways, but they've really helped us build our understanding of, as you say, our favorite subject, ourselves. They help us understand how to manage our energy, how to manage our energetic clutter, how to have energetic coherence through our daily interactions with them. And, it evolves from there. We start learning interspecies communication with our animal companions. Everyone as a pet parent can look at their pet and know instantaneously what it is they're saying. They've taught us all sorts of things about portals and shape shifting and how we can leverage animal traits and animal symbolism and animal magic to help us change and shift our traits, our energy, even our physicality sometimes. So,
Hmm.
as you say, our animal companions, have they been showing up in new ways? Absolutely, because so have we as humans. We've expanded, we've become less dense, less linear, and there's so much going on in our energetic framework that is supporting that.
Hmm. It was really interesting. Yesterday we had a Vedic astrologer on the show, and she was absolutely phenomenal. But something that kept coming alive in my presence is the different practices that I've had going into mantras and going into different deities, and some of those deities that they are shown as shape-shifting, carrying animal presence and human qualities and godly presence simultaneously in the consciousness. And what I'm discovering is as I tune into the essence of what they represent and what they're igniting within us, I feel like I carry a more potentized field of that awareness and the embodiment of it. So there's something profound that we're tuning into as we're merging, if you will, these technologies that are available to us that are representing that sacred mirror of what we're awakening to.
Absolutely. And I love that you say that because to me, that is the essence of shapeshifting,
Hmm.
right? If we know that form in our 3D world is informed by shape, which is informed by frequency and vibration, if we shift that frequency and vibration, we can eventually shift not only our energy and how we interact and the world interacts with us, but even we'll see shifts in our physicality, right? If we think about the energy of lion, it's going to be a very different energy than the energy of dove or dolphin, something more gentle. And with shape shifting, it is a tool that our animals are inviting us to partake in. Basically, what they're teaching us and what they're really shouting from the rooftop now is take our traits, take our energy, match that frequency, and embody it within yourself. And to your point, I love that we're coming up after a Vedic astrologer because part of the case studies that they've left behind for us are indeed those ancient hybrid gods, right? It's Ganesh from the Indian culture, who is half man, half elephant. It's Khnum from the Egyptian culture, which is half man, half ram. It's even Medusa from Greek mythology, half woman, half snake. So there's so much there that our animal companions have shared with us, and they're inviting us to step into and remember and use leverage these archetypes and blueprints, not as, this is an interesting story, how fun, it's something outside of me, but really blueprints to embody and bring into ourselves.
Mm. How can we hear the call or the invitation that they're putting out for us? Because we can talk about this, and from time to time, I'll go through periods where different spirit animals will want to come in. And not too long ago, which really surprised me, bear was coming in really strongly. This was about 3 months ago, but it made sense. I felt like I was in a hibernation period, but a lot of power was being activated. But I didn't put it together. It just showed up randomly, and it's just, uh, how do we be more in a direct relational dynamic with those energies so that we can receive the support that's being offered.
I love that. So basically, when it comes to shape shifting, it's a shift, right? We're going to basically become hybrid gods. We are going to take the traits, the energy, the frequency of different animals and intentionally embody them so that
Mm.
it supports us to be, better, more effective, more efficient, to navigate with more grace different situations, relationships, dynamic, whatever it might be. But in order to shapeshift and kind of bring in these traits, we have to understand animals and the symbolism behind them. What are the traits, right? And so that's where this season, this moment in time, our animal companions are reminding us to go back and remember, to really tap into the energy of all the animals you see surrounding you, whether it's in art, whether it's in bronze, whether it's your own pet, whether it's animals in the wild like bear that shows up to you. We need to really have that, build that lexicon and build that relationship. So there's a few different ways to do it. A few different steps which we can do in our everyday, and they're really inviting us to embody and just make this kind of second nature to us. And so anytime you encounter an animal or an animal comes to mind, They're asking you to reflect on your personal encounters. What does that animal mean to you personally? What have you experienced alongside them? Have you had dreams about them? Do you have jewelry? Or their favorite animal? Is it an animal that's a shadow animal that you're a little nervous about? What is your personal reference point with that animal? The next thing we want to do is leverage the wisdom from our ancestors, right? We want to explore the cultural significance in mythology, in books, and maybe native cultures, which are amazing at really kind of outlining different, powers and traits and characteristics of each animal. So do a little deep dive, do a little Google search. Next is going to be self-analysis. So what are your personality traits in this moment that you either match with that animal or complements, right? So if, for example, you were feeling protective of your grandbaby or something, then the part of the bear you're harnessing is that mama bear. If you find yourself rushing around and not really having time for yourself, maybe the aspect of bear that is complementing your current energy is going to be taking time to grab some of that honey, slow down, find the hive, what's the sweetness in life.
Mhm.
Next, we want to make sure that we're dream journaling, right? Anytime that animal companion comes up, especially if it's in a dream, let's write it down. Let's also consult oracle cards, right? Let's go deeper. Like, all right, I'm touching the energy of bear. Let me pull some oracle cards or some sort of divination or outside tool to objectively add more layers. So, in this way, as we experience life with animals, we build our lexicon by first taking the observer stance, then kind of interpreting what those messages, characteristics are, and then third, by digging in deeper. Okay, so what? And then what? How can I expand upon this? And as you're doing this, you're understanding a few things about yourself and your own intuition, which at the end of the day, animals are so amazing at helping us tap into our own intuition, not only through animal communication, but by expanding our lexicon with the universe so we have all these symbols that can be dropped in front of us. So we want to make sure that as we're going through these steps, as we're observing, as we're interpreting, as we're kind of going deeper, understand how it is that you're going deeper, right? Anyone looking to expand their gifts or tap into their consciousness or their intuition might have heard about the different clairs, right? We talk about the different clairs, which are basically ways you receive energy. And so I wrote them down because I always forget some. But there's clairvoyance, where it's about seeing in your mind's eye. So if you're kind of, imagining a bear and you're picturing it in your mind's eye, odds are you're clairvoyant. It might be clairaudience. You might be hearing the growl of the bear or hearing a bear or the word bear. There's clairsentience, right? Where you're feeling, you kind of get that empathic hit of, bear, or you're sensing bear, or you're seeing the world through bear's eyes. There's claircognizance, where you just know bear's in my awareness. It's bear, it's bear, it's bear. No one needs to tell me, show me. I just know it's bear. There's clairgustance, which is a funny one, which is taste. Maybe you taste what a bear would taste. And then there's clairalience, which is smelling, sense of smell. And so if you're ever in doubt about how it is that you receive information from the animals, kind of going through this checklist is super helpful. And then even a very quick exercise is if I asked you to spell, and by the way, everyone can do this right now. If I asked you to spell a word you don't use a lot, like alabaster, how do you tell me how it's spelled? Like if you were in a spelling bee. For me in particular, I have to write it out, right? So I'll be like Alabaster, right? So for me, I know I'm very clairvoyant. I need that visual. I need that visual lexicon. And not only am I clairvoyant, but when I write it out, it's very different if I'm writing it out in cursive, where it's all kind of flowing together,
Mhm.
versus in print, in block letters, right? So what can I learn about myself through that? I learn that I'm very visual, so I need to see it, right? I can't just sound it out. I also learned that for me, I need to flow through intuition and information. That's how my intuition is. It's flowy. So
Mhm.
for me, it's going to be about making sure that I'm looking at movies, I'm looking at shapes, I'm looking at patterns, I'm really opening myself to all of those things. Whereas if I'm writing alabaster in print letters, I receive information sequentially. So for me, I might be better with my intuition if I'm pulling something like oracle cards, where it's like, okay, input one, input two, input three. But
Mhm.
even something as simple as that helps us open up our own intuition, which is going to create a whole library of images, of associations, which expands our relationship with our animal companions, both pets and in the wild, because
Mhm.
now they know how to communicate with us. So, in this crazy way, look, connecting with animals through symbolism and just our everyday exercises with them really shifts our awareness into a heightened state of intuition.
I love the example of the spelling and how we pick up on it and interpret it. That's so just powerful. Thank you for that. It's what a great exercise of recognizing or to help recognize and how we receive and interpret and then share that information. Um, Animals are guiding us also astrologically right now, and I want to talk about the astrological thresholds that we're crossing and stepping into before we get into our personal pets and get into live questions as well and Q&A. So we're going to cover all that, y'all, and so much more. Um, Very significant, and I've been feeling the impact of being in the final stages of the year of the snake and the shedding. And I can feel the momentum of what's coming up and what they're calling the fire horse in the next season of this graduation as we shift from one archetype into another. I love it if you can share any awareness that you have over these thresholds that we're embarking on.
I love that. So first of all, Year of the Snake, it has been so much about shedding, and when our snakes kind of shed their old skin, they lose a little bit of their vision as well, their sight, I should say. Vision's always there, sight is temporary. So it does feel like 2025 has been a little bit of that shedding, that kind of letting go. And through that shedding, we might have feel like we don't have the full view, we don't have the full picture of what's going on, right? We might feel a little bit without our senses, which makes us feel a little vulnerable. The beauty of the horse and the fire horse, that's the phoenix mixed with horse energy. So this is that rising above. Horse is freedom, it's clear boundaries, it's covering a lot of ground. So many of us might have felt, earlier in this year, a little bit of instability, a little bit of feeling like, my gosh, there's just so much going on. I feel overwhelmed. I feel vulnerable. I feel disoriented. But as we get into this new year, and even this month, in particular, it feels like there's a shift. We're more empowered. We're more imbalanced. And this is where shape shifting is going to be so incredibly important, right? So we're learning the energy of, I'll start because we have the Year of the Snake that we're ending. The hybrid blueprint that we want to leverage at the end of this year is going to be Medusa, right? And so this is going to be an example of how we can use animal symbolism and hybrid ancient god blueprints in order to shapeshift our own energy. And so a lot of us know the story of Medusa, right? She was this beautiful maiden. She was she served in Athena's temple right by the water. And she was known for her beauty, for her flowing hair. And Poseidon, that old dog, he saw her, liked her, went into the temple, kind of violated her boundaries, took advantage of her. And that broke Medusa. She was so despondent. She goes, my patron Athena, how did you let this happen? How could you let this happen? You're the virgin goddess. How could this happen under your temple? And so Athena was unable to punish Poseidon, right? They were both kind of equal gods. But what she could do was a radical act of empowerment. She was able to transform Medusa's hair into snakes. And so this is where we start understanding the symbolism and the magic of snake. And this is where that comes to life. Because a lot of us think of snake as boundaries, right? It's kind of a shadow animal. So if I'm approaching a snake and it pops up, I am backing off, no questions asked, right? So that was part of the thinking of Athena in creating snakes for hair. It was, listen, I can't punish him, but I can give you the agency to protect yourself with this crown of snakes, right? Now, another aspect of snake, right? We're really going deeper, is healing. Like even if we think of the medical symbol, the caducean or whatever it's called,
Caduceus, yeah.
you, it's got that snake on it. So her hair, from an, when it comes to outward influence, she was able to protect herself and set those boundaries. But for her, it was a healing of the divine feminine. Snakes are very healing. It was that kind of kundalini awakening, that knowing that she's healed, she's okay, she's whole again. So this becomes a blueprint for us to shapeshift into. As we finish the year of the snake, so many of these themes apply, right? There's been a lot about the divine feminine healing coming up, the violations that have been, physically, um, you know, uh, inflicted upon a lot of feminine energy. We've been talking about the balance between the masculine and the feminine. So a lot of that snake energy comes through with the healing of the divine feminine. Also, that snake energy has played out in our global stage as well about boundaries. What are we going to allow? What are we not going to allow? Also on a personal level, what are we going to let into our lives? What are we not? So I love how we can use these hybrid blueprints that have been left for us, along with the symbolism of the animals, to really embody that. And as we embody that energy of Medusa, we start exuding the same. It was actually really funny, just kind of side note. For those who don't know, I live in Los Angeles and on Venice Beach in particular. And every day I go for walks on Venice Beach on the boardwalk. It's just kind of like my morning meditation. And LA, of course, is known for beautiful extensions, LA hair, flowing hair. I do not have that, right? And there was one morning in particular that I was digging into Medusa's story. And, I put my shoes on, I go for my walk. My hair's literally in a bun, like it's just like thrown up in a, ponytail. When I tell you, probably, every other person who I passed by was like, nice hair, beautiful hair. I'm like, what? It never happened before. It hasn't happened since. But that's such a beautiful example of when we embody and really bring into our energetic realm some of that information or some of that hybrid or that blueprint, we exude it whether we're intentional about it or not. So it's that beautiful example of how animal alchemy can really change our form, our vibration, our physicality, and how we're perceived, even if physically it's different.
So, what do you see that the horse is inviting, and how can we be more proactive of working with those supportive energies that are demonstrating as it amplifies more in the field?
So I love that question as well, because the same way that we're left with hybrid gods like Medusa as examples of, combining human traits with animal traits to kind of create this superpower or the super version of ourselves, our animals also have hybrid blueprints of
Mhm.
themselves. Horse in particular, think of horse and then think of its hybrid version, which is Pegasus, right? So basically that year of the horse is inviting us, sure, in its singularity it's all about boundaries, freedom, running free, covering ground. But if we really lean into even its hybrid version of Pegasus, now we're flying across timelines. We can create, transformation. Pegasus is known, when it hits its hooves on the ground, it makes a thunderous sound and it creates springs that are purifying. So, when we tap into the energy of horse, it's not about boundaries and freedom. We can really make it about gliding effortlessly around new timelines and creating purification for us and that magic of Pegasus. And I love that our animal companions have hybrid versions as well, right? It's not just us. Our animal companions hold that same template for us to tap into.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Y'all, again, we're getting into Q&A here in a little bit. If you want to ask Denise your personal question, raise your hand, type it into the chat box. Helma, I promise I'll get to you in a little bit, and Catherine as well. Um, how can we learn to tune in and interpret our pets, our companions? Um, wisdom that they have for us, but maybe we just don't listen, or we're interpreting in a certain way. We're not just getting what's being shared.
Mhm. And so that's going to be the most beautiful relationship we have them, right? Whether we know it or not, we are shape-shifting every day alongside our animal companions, whether pets or in the wild. With our animal companions, we are shape-shifting because their behavior mirrors our energy, our vibe, what we're experiencing. And that helps us shed old beliefs, shed energetic layers so that we can bring in new beliefs, new energy, new frequencies, and new vibrations. And so much of my work is premised exactly on that. It's this notion that our animal companions and pets serve as mirrors. So if our animal companions are having moments where, say, your bird is chirping a lot or really anxious, am I anxious? Odds are I probably are. It might look like a cat having accidents outside of the litter box, or particularly on my partner's side of the bed, because I might be ignoring some red flags, of what's going on with my partner. So let me go in and really kind of look at how I'm trusting or interpreting my intuition, and if I'm ignoring it, for what reason. Is it because I don't want to start over in a relationship? What's that mean? Where's that from? And what animal can I embody that will help me feel whole and complete and powerful in my own energy and loving and courageous? If my dog is barking on leash, am I feeling insecure? Am I feeling not very grounded? Am I on that walk and my mind is elsewhere because I'm in between jobs or I'm in between apartments? So our pets are the first and best spiritual guides to help us clear out that energetic clutter so that we can bring in and shift into new frequencies, beliefs, attitudes, habits. And then from there, we create more space in our energy to even bring in hybrid blueprints. So they're the most important first step at helping us understand energetic coherence and energy management. They've
Mm.
always been amazing at that.
And regulating our nervous system so our bodies are open to receive and interpret in a clearer way as well.
Absolutely. They are healers, they are communicators, they are partners. So many times, when cats are purring on you, that's their healing language. When dogs, especially puppies, have, what we call like the zoomies, they're
Mm.
literally clearing the energy for us.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's a billion ways they heal us. And I think that's what I love so much about working with animals and their humans is it's not just a one faceted relationship. They don't just do one thing or the other. They are multitaskers beyond and the most powerful spiritual guides for us.
Do you discover in all the work that you do with individuals and their pets that there are those people that take that wisdom from their pets and they pass it forward to other people? Because again, the presence and the stillness of certain animals or the companionship and the open-hearted love for from other pets and all those, do you find that more people are embracing those aspects in a pure form and able to pay it forward in such a way that it's helping those people that they're in community with?
Absolutely. And that is, again, another example of shape shifting, right? There's three
Mhm.
different ways we shape shift with our pets. The first is through shedding energetic layers, which we talk about, right? The second is through empathic hits. So this is where you kind of experience the world through the energy of another consciousness, another being. For me, I first experienced empathic hits and shape shifting in that way, as I dunked a Oreo cookie into milk once, and I drank it, and I just immediately was transported into seeing the world through the eyes of a dairy cow, and I felt what she felt, I saw what she saw, I heard what she saw. It was just a lot. And so I don't drink milk anymore, but when I do, I can always get transported right to that point.
Wow.
So that's the second way of shape shifting. The third way is kind of what you're talking about. It is embodying the traits of others. And this can be done unintentionally or intentionally. And that unintentional aspect of it is a little bit of energy melding, right? That's sort of
Mm.
like, when you live with a sibling or a family member, or a best friend or a roommate, you end up taking on each other's traits. Same thing with our animal companions, right? We tend to pick up each other's habits, each other's energy. This is why a lot of times people say, oh my gosh, pet parents look so much like their pets all the time. It's not so much a physicality. You're picking up on the frequency and the vibration, right? And it can happen intentionally, which is what we're promoting here today, where we're intentionally thinking about the energy of our pet or an animal, whatever it might be, and we're projecting it into the world. So, this is where we hear so much, we have in language all the evidence we need. We talk about, people having cat like reflexes or being a mother hen. We're able to leverage the energy of our animals and project it on. Sometimes it's more intentional, sometimes it's more unintentional. And when it comes to our animal companions, they activate those frequencies, those vibrations. And when it's activated in us, it's not even a choice, it just emanates. So, the same way that our pets bring comfort and joy and clarity and illumination, and even kind of bring to light different parts of us as catalysts, we do the same for others in our lives, animals included.
Do you ever find that there's a stifling of energy as we're receiving that from our familiars, the pets that we're around, but we're not projecting it forward, where it feels more like a codependent loop than one that's putting that currency out into the world and circulating. And if there is a stifleness that happens, what are the implications of it?
I love that. So there's two ways that happens. One is if we're not picking up on the energy, the messages, and we're not kind of embodying it, their behavior exacerbates more and more and more. And so
Mhm.
this is where, as a expert in animal consciousness and pet intuitive, I also love that I'm a professional dog trainer because you need both together. And as you work through their behaviors, whether it's separation anxiety, accidents around the house, whatever it is, we need to look at the energy, and we get evidence that that energy has finally shifted once we've done the training and we've worked through it and the pet's behaviors changed as well. So
Yeah.
our animal companions are amazing litmus tests about how it is that we're interacting and interpreting their messages, how accurately, how we move through it. They'll let us know when we have. The second way I see that kind of feedback loop is what I call empathic cycling. And for pet parents, we're so sensitive, we're so open intuitively. A lot of us are experiencing the world through our pet's eyes. So if my dog, for example, is on leash outside and really freaked out by the world and nervous about the world around them, as an empath, I'm almost shape shifting and becoming them. I'm getting that empathic hit about what they're feeling. So now I'm freaked out, and now my pet, who's also incredibly empathic, is getting more freaked out because I'm freaked out. So it's like that empathic cycling. So as pet parents, that's one of the first things I talk about in training sessions is recognizing that empathic loop and how to cut it.
Mm.
If we change the frequency, there's changes as well. Sometimes they need us to take the lead.
That's wonderful. And I think it's such a mirror in all our relational dynamics, period, because again, it's if we look at training our pets, we train other people how to treat us and react to us as well. With how we're present, how we listen, the boundaries that with the standards that we hold that really direct people how we're willing to show up. Um, and again, the energies that are being activated through the shape shifting, through the spirit animals that are talking to us in many different ways, through these astrological thresholds that we're crossing through, that the messages are right there. And what relationship are we choosing to have with it? How are we communicating it? Because again, that's in training the field of how we want to be received and treated and communicated with and loved and all the wonderful things that we hope for, but maybe don't know how to communicate it because it wasn't taught to us properly. And we're learning and we have these amazing guides um, that are unconditionally leading us into being so beautifully receptive to what's available to us at the highest level right now. Um, Denise, I want to get into Q&A. There's already a lot of people that we have on live, as you can see. And we're getting to a special offer in a little bit. What Denise is bringing forward is, as always, just amazingly generous. The program is like top notch what she's bringing through, and there's an opportunity to go 30 minutes with Denise as well. And then a deeper training also. And again, we'll go through all of that in the special offer. I mention it now though, because those of y'all who know that you want to have a private session with Denise, you may want to go ahead and click on it now so you can get on sooner rather than later. But regardless, it's going to be there for you. But again, I wanted to preface that if you already knew that you wanted that special session, and to schedule sooner rather than later. And Denise, let's start with some Q&A. Y'all ready for Q&A? Yes. All right, let's go. How about we start with Catherine? Welcome, Catherine.
Hi. Hi, Denise. I got me and my partner got a new puppy uh, a while ago and is proving very challenging, seems to have a lot of behavior issues. I am other than trying my patience
Mhm.
and all, I'm I've been questioning what are you here for to show me or teach me? What are these behaviors? Is it just how much is puppy? How much is it reflecting something I need to know? Is she here to teach me something on a higher spiritual level? So any help you can give me with clarity on that, I'd appreciate it.
I love it. First and foremost, you're my favorite kind of pet parent. Those are the questions we should be asking from day one. So I love that you're coming at, your relationship first and foremost to get that big picture. What's your puppy's name?
Dakota.
Dakota. I love that. Okay. And what behaviors in particular are kind of showing up as I pull the numerology?
Uh, One thing is manic barking. I mean, she just gets in this barking and she barks at everything. It could be a fly in the house. It can be, I mean, every possible thing she'll bark at. And she pees, now some with excitement,
Mhm.
but also like with disciplining. There seems like there might be some anxiety or something in there, because you're just set when you say like no or leave, or you try to do some commands, she might stop and sit, but then she'll bark at you and she'll pee.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, so there's pee going on with discipline as well as of course she does the typical digging and destroying everything that she can, so we try to give her a lot of things to chew that like bones.
I love that. So I'm just double checking my math. And thank you for sharing all that. First of all, she is amazing as a puppy, and so are you. The first thing she wants to share is this is her first rodeo on this planet. So
Oh.
part of it is she is excited by everything. Think of a kid in their first time at like Epcot Center or Disneyland. Everything is mesmerizing to her. With the accidents, of course, physiologically her bladder needs to form, but she's still trying to get the mechanics of a physical body down because this is really her first embodiment as a pet in this 3D. She's always been part of kind of group consciousness, which is really interesting. So for her, this is a blast. It's the biggest ride of her life. Interesting. I always pull the numerology of the pet's name and the human's name to help better understand kind of the role and their tendencies and motivations. And Dakota vibrates at a 25 over 7. 7 in numerology is the number of the big picture, the role in the universe, very galactic. So this kind of reinforces the fact that Dakota, really, this is her first rodeo. She's very of the stars, of the planets, which is interesting. Now, one thing that you both share is the master vibration of 11 over 2. And so that master vibration of 11 is all about intuition and receiving energy. So, the same way that she is noticing every detail about this planet, she's asking you to go through as if seeing the world through her eyes, through the lens of a first time. She's asking you to observe more because you are incredibly intuitive, you are incredibly empathic, you have a huge tendency for downloading information, but the observation needs to be stronger so that you get the messages more clearly. So, what she's doing is she's activating your intuition, in particular, receiving downloads, receiving messages. And the way that she's kind of working with you also, especially with the barking, is to help you with your convictions and your voice and your fifth chakra. So this is as you receive the messages, interpreting it. What does it mean for you? What does it mean for her? What does it mean for the pack? What does it mean for the collective? So she's practicing you to really get comfortable with that fifth chakra, with that throat chakra. As you do, the barking gets reduced. Of course, she's a puppy. We have to do traditional training. We have to give her jobs to do mental stimulation, boundaries, protocol, all those things we would do for a human kid. But ultimately, her role is to help you understand how you receive information better and to help you trust your conviction, your expression of it. That's her role for you.
Wow.
So
Congratulations, Catherine.
Yeah,
You chose well.
I guess. If I live through it.
You're here to talk about it.
as they say with puppies, it's like the days are long, but the years are short, right? It'll get
Nice.
better every day, I promise.
Denise, one thing I'd love for you to address is the patience piece, where Catherine's saying she's losing her patience. And I know without question the puppy
Mhm.
is testing her bounds because she's stretching into being able to drop in and listen. And so I'd love it if you give a little more
Mhm.
insight about that because I think a lot of us in different dynamics, not just with our pets, where that patience trigger comes up, there's a master teacher there.
There is, and I love that you bring that through because that did jump out when Catherine was talking about. First of all, thank you for sharing that because as pet parents, sometimes we feel bad talking about that because we're like,
Mhm.
they're the most amazing, fluffy things. All pet parents go through that experience of like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Right? Now, what
Yes.
Dakota in particular is saying for you is you actually are an incredibly patient, kind, generous of soul, spirit person. For you, what you're interpreting as like, I'm losing patience, it's frustration not knowing the why, right?
Yeah.
So now that you understand more of the motivation, why it's happening, what her role is, there's a better understanding of the bigger picture. As she draws me back to that seventh chakra, that she's so beautifully and masterfully amplifying for us. She's also saying that this is part of you learning to kind of trust your intuition more because you're a very pragmatic person in some ways of if you understand the process, the why, this, then you can kind of deal with pretty much anything. It's the not knowing, not having the
Yeah.
logical explanation. So this is what you guys are working on together. You might not know logically, I might not be next to you being like, this is for this is for this is why this is happening. But intuitively, you can trust yourself to tap into that information as well. Um,
So is there anything like when she is in some of that manic barking, is there something I can do? Like, do I need to just try to keep myself calm, or what would help the situation?
So this becomes benevolent leadership. You are going to model for her calm. So
Okay.
you can interrupt with a clap. You can get a squeaker toy. The second she kind of gives it a break, we're gonna we're gonna whisper, use our inside voices, and we're gonna redirect her energy with different commands. Right? The same way you need to know the reasoning, she needs to be redirected. She needs jobs to do. She wants to feel useful. She wants to have all these different experiences. So with puppies in particular, it's going to be a lot about practicing commands with them, giving them games, giving them protocol, taking them out on new adventures and new places to explore the world. Exploration for her is a big deal, being that it's her first time here. Think about when your tourist friends visit your town. They're like, I want to see it all. So show it all to her. So it's going to be the training and the benevolent leadership of modeling for her. I always tell my clients, you want to be the energy you want to see. So if she's barking, you're like, hey, 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 stop, 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 stop. You're barking too. She's like, this is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Well, we were instructed by one of the trainers to just try to ignore her, not really look at her, try to be calm, but she'll just the barking continues until, like you say, we redirect her to something else.
Yeah, and you may want to go deeper into Denise's training. It's part of the special
Yeah,
offer, or
right.
have a session also. And Denise, if
Yeah.
you want to wrap up with that, that'd be wonderful. So we don't leave Catherine hanging also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I love what the trainer does say, and there's different barks. So this is going to be part of that trusting your intuition and discerning. If it's an anxious bark or a nervous bark, we want to work with her with desensitization. If it's an attention bark, where she's like, hello, hello, look at me, we do want to ignore a little. And the second she makes a good decision, we can kind of re-engage and redirect her. But ultimately, this is about you learning about trusting your intuition about what the motivation is and trusting that you have the tools and the energy to redirect her. And this becomes a lot about leadership because as you learn and trust yourself to lead her, redirect her, give her other alternatives, you also learn to do that with the energy. This is where, with shapeshifting, for example, we want to be really intentional. So you are incredibly powerful in the energy, but they're teaching you to shape the outcome of the energy. Okay, so if you don't want to feel stressed in any given moment, put aside, what do you want to feel? You're very good at saying, I don't want this, but what do you want instead? So it becomes this beautiful invitation of co-creating new paths alongside Dakota.
Beautiful. Catherine, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on
you.
and blessings with your puppy.
Yes.
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 All right, let's continue. Is it Jage Anna? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Or if you correct me when you unmute your microphone, that'd be wonderful. But welcome to the call.
Thank you. Thanks for calling on me. And yes, you pronounced my name right.
Okay, wonderful.
Hey, friends.
What is your
So
question for Denise?
question,
Yeah.
yeah, my question is to do with one of our two cats. So we have two cats that we got as kittens, and they're from the same litter. One of them is the sweetest, most healing vibes cat, and the other one is completely manic. She hides from us all the time. She tries to dodge around our legs. She's just scared all the time. She's really, really anxious, really scared. Sometimes, like, she'll hiss at the door. Before I let her out, she'll just stand at the door and hiss at it. She hisses at her brother all the time. Um, what else, guys? She just has this really crazy personality, and I know there's something deeper going on, but I can't figure out what it is.
So tell her.
And can you share their names?
Yeah, so her name is Lila, Lila, and the male is Mossy, Mossy.
I love that. Okay, so let me just pull this real quick. I love what's coming through here. Second. Okay. So here's the thing about Lila and Mossy, which is so interesting. The fact that they came as a pair is very it's meant to be, right? And what they're representing is the balance. There's the balance between the domestication of our spirit and our wild side. And so what Lila in particular is mirroring for you is the wild divine feminine. There's part of you that knows how to fit into society, can do what needs to be done, is very comfortable navigating the tamed civilized world. But then there's this divine feminine aspect of you that just wants to be free, that wants to go howl at the moon, that wants to be practicing magic, picking berries. So it's that beautiful remembrance. And so as you integrate, as you create the healing, especially of that divine feminine, because it feels, the energy that does come through is Medusa energy. So what Lila is asking you to do with her, which will serve as a proxy for your divine feminine, is to really use Medusa's blueprint, use that snake blueprint to create the healing of the divine feminine. And letting her know that civilized society is not entrapment. She's safe. She can still be wild. She can still operate. She doesn't lose her nature. It doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It can be both. We can create that hybrid energy, which is the buzzword that the animal consciousness has really been just echoing lately and into 2026. It's about combining all facets, being multifaceted. No longer are we looking at polarities or this or that. It's multifaceted. So as you work with Lila, you're healing and working with your wild divine feminine spirit as well, and use Medusa as a guide.
Okay. Okay. Is there something that she's scared of? And is she happy here?
She's happy there. There's nothing like no energy, no weird portal, no weird entity. It's just really she's showing, she's mirroring back the fear of being entrapped and tamed and stripped of her original nature. So speak to her, honor her. You know, she actually would like moonstone comes through as a really powerful stone for her. If you have moonstone crystals, you know, put it out in honor of her, let her feel into it. Look into moon cycles with her as well. Start noticing if her behavior changes around, you know, different lunar patterns. It's her way of getting you back to that, to embracing and bringing back to the forefront that wild, divine, feminine intuition.
All
I
right.
love that. Great message. Jake, thank you so much for coming on the show. Great question. And wow, come back and listen to the replay also. That was so potent, Denise. Um, yeah, yeah,
Thank
amazing.
you so
Thank you.
much. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. It's such a beautiful message to bring through for all of us. So I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
truly. Um, y'all, I want to dive into the special offer with Denise right now. We'll get into some more Q&A and then there's some more insights that are coming through. And what Denise is offering here, it's God, talking about working with symbolism, working with pets, working with power animals, shape shifting. It's I'm gonna let Denise explain it all, but this is full on amazing package. Denise, let everybody know what the different offers that they're able to access with you.
Well, awesome. I'm just pulling it up on my phone so I can speak through it very quickly.
And yeah, the images on the special offer are epic. They're so good.
That's all Chris. I love Chris's energy on that.
Oh
So
yeah.
the first item that we have is going to be a PDF, and it's all about developing a lexicon with the universe through animal symbolism. So this becomes a 20-something page worksheet that speaks about animal symbolism, different ways to like interpret different animals that come into your life. And then there's a whole list. I think there's about 20 to 23 different animal archetypes listed in there with worksheet questions for you to answer, and then some, you know, some basic symbolism that we find about each animal. And the role of this PDF is to really help you get working and thinking about different animals, especially those that we might not always encounter on our day to day. Like I have a lot of squirrels here, but I don't have panda. So this worksheet's really helping you get in that mindset of being the observer, interpreting it, and then digging deeper into each animal. And in this way, we create a relationship with our animal companions out in the wild, and we're also growing our intuitive muscle. And that's going to be helpful because the next item is going to be another PDF that talks about journeying with pets. Because our animal companions always invite us to bring them on journeys, to go on journeys with them, to explore, to go on vision quests with them. And so this PDF kind of outlines how to get the most out of your journey with animal companions. And that sets us up for the next item, which is going to be an audio MP3 where you connect with Lion, who takes you into this beautiful space to meet your power animal. So this becomes a guided meditation that you can download and have on your phone, and you can do time and time again to kind of build that relationship with Lion as your guide, bringing you in to meet all sorts of different animals. And your pets are invited to join you as well. So they're always down for the journey as well. Then the next piece is going to be a recorded presentation. And this is all the latest information that I have is called The Intro to Shapeshifting and Ancient Hybrid Gods. And this is a pre-recorded slideshow. And, you know, we touched a little bit about shapeshifting and hybrid gods, but this presentation really brings it all together, and it speaks about, you know, how it shows up in history. It talks about our current chakra system with the 7 major chakras and how they're evolving to multidimensional chakra centers, and how these hybrid gods are really activating them through the magic of animals. So there's a lot that gets uncovered in this hour-long pre-recorded presentation, including some activities and exercises to go through to really understand what it feels like to embody, and even more important, the ramifications. Because we don't want to just willy-nilly bring in the energy of an animal into our lives without understanding what does that mean? What are the implications? What are the ramifications? And then the final piece of this first offer is going to be a journey to the Karnak temple in Egypt with Ram and Khnum. So this is leveraging that RAM blueprint. And this is a module I wanted to include. It's from a course that I introduced here on John's show, I think in 2022, about shapeshifting. And this speaks about Gnome and the Ram blueprint. It speaks about the Karnak temple in Egypt. There's a video to watch. If you haven't been, you can kind of see and envision what it looks like. And then there's like a 25-minute audio MP3 guided journey that walks you alongside Ram down the road of the Rams so you can embody and get the messages and connect in with the energy of Ram supported by Khnum and the energy of Egypt.
Mm.
And with this, it's a presentation that's didactic, but you also get the MP3 journey that you can download on your phone and do over and over and over again.
That's powerful. And if y'all have not experienced Denise's PDFs and workbooks before, they're immersive. They're so interactive. You feel like you're in something, not just reading something and going through a checklist. It's the way that Denise teaches and puts together the supporting material to go along with it. It's it's really at the highest of levels. So there's a lot of weight in this package of what's being offered here.
And
Uh,
I will say, if you do sign up for this package, I would do the pre-recorded presentation on shapeshifting and hybrid animals first to kind
mm,
of get grounded in that. Because then as you do the worksheet with the animals and exploring the animals, you can kind of leverage it. It works together. You're just expanding your toolbox and traits of animals that you can shapeshift with.
nice.
So that was the thinking of combining those elements together.
Amazing, amazing. So, y'all, this is package A. We have three packages. So, package A is $97. There's a two payment option with that. First payment's then your next payment comes out in 30 days. But then we go into package B and Denise, 30 minutes with you, which is, y'all, it's a good amount of time with Denise. You cover a lot of ground, but what can what can be covered in 30 minutes? It,
And so I love these one-on-one sessions because we can get through so much together. I always like to say that, different animal communicators get different sorts of information. Some get, I like this toy, others get a lot of medical stuff. What tends to come through most strongly for me is exactly what Catherine was asking, which is, you know, uh, what's going on in your life through the lens of the animal? What's your purpose? What's your role together? And a lot of times they help illuminate different aspects about ourselves, different habits, different patterns going on in our lives that when we understand and tap into, it really helps shift their energy as well. And these sessions are great whether or not you have a pet. You might have a pet, you might have a transitioned pet, or even if you've never had a pet before, these are still really helpful because the animal energy still opens our hearts to access all the information that we want. And in these sessions, we always start with a numerological assessment. I pull the numerology of the human's name, the pet's name, to kind of understand our motivations and tendencies. And then we go deep. It's been everything from different patterns in humans, what their life purpose is, what their skill sets are. And it's always about helping us understand ourselves a bit better through their loving lens. And in this, you get a recording of it as well, so you can listen back. And one of the comments I get is, "Oh my gosh, this is such amazing information. You're so great at tapping into the pets and getting the information." And the one thing I really want to clarify about that is all the amazing breadth of information that I'm receiving is through you. You guys are the ones who really bring the intuition, the knowledge. I'm just translating it. So my hope in those sessions is that I'm able to empower you. And we can even go deeper into how you receive information. If you're looking at tapping into or opening your intuition, we can dive into that or anything else you want to know.
yeah, again, profound sessions. I always look forward to my sessions with Denise. And she's been really helpful. Some projects that I've been working on also help me ground it in, tuning in, who to partner with, how to speak in a way that grounds in more and projects the intention of what's being shared. And it can be in a project, it can be in a relationship, it could be with help for money, it could be with our pets. So Yeah, Denise is pretty epic in that way. Sometimes galactic comes in. Sometimes there's angels and guides. Um, but again, it always comes translated from this beautiful heart that and clarity that Denise holds, which is why I love bringing Denise on, knowing that I am guiding you in extremely capable hands to guide you into what you're ready and open to receive at this moment. So again, extraordinary that we have this opportunity with Denise here. And the package B includes the 30-minute reading, includes everything in package A. That's $149. And then we get into package C. Tell us more about that, Denise.
Now, this is for the pet parents, and especially people like Catherine who have dogs or, and they're working on it. Package C includes everything in package A, the 30-minute intuitive reading, and then a mindful approach to dog training. So this becomes a PDF that covers everything you need to know about your dog. And in this PDF, there's links to how-to videos, content, energetic exercises and meditations to do along your pets. And it covers everything from kind of puppy 101, setting your dog up for success, to covering separation anxiety, working on housebreaking, working on unwanted behaviors like barking, jumping, chewing, nipping. It speaks to benevolent leadership. So it's basically everything you need to know to raise your dog in kind of written format, but also, hours of video content kind of explaining as well as how-to commands. So that when you come out of this, you know how to address all the behaviors with your pet, and you even have all the basic obedience commands and games under your belt. If you do this package, I recommend doing kind of one chapter per week. Is a great cadence to keep your pet learning and working through new behaviors. So this is great for like new pet parents, or also if you have an established mature companion and you just want to look at new ways to interact and stimulate them, especially as we go into the winter months and we can't spend as much time running out outside. This is a great resource that I hope you'll enjoy.
Amazing. And that package C, y'all, includes everything, package A and B, plus the training. That's $249 for those of y'all who are interested in that as well. And I hope y'all dive in with Denise and share your heart and what's coming up for you and reach out for guidance with her. Again, she's amazing and impeccable in the way that she shares. So y'all know where to find the special offer link now. It's in the chat box underneath the video where you're watching the live call or the replay from. And if you're listening to this call on YouTube afterwards, look for the special offer link in the comment section as well, and you'll find it there. And with that, Denise, let's continue some more Q&A.
I love that.
There's some great questions that came in the chat, and I'm going to address them here in a second as I go back to the page. But right now, let me go to Deb. And Deb, what is your question for Denise?
Okay, got it.
Wonderful.
Thank you for taking my call. Hi, Denise.
Yeah.
My pup is having some health issues, and I'm just kind of wondering what you're picking up on. What can I do to help her? What am I not learning that,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
sorry to hear that. What's your pup's name? And
Lucy.
Lucy. Oh, that's a sweet name. And what are the health issues that she seems to be experiencing?
She has a grade 5 heart murmur.
Oh my goodness.
And then the last week or so, she's not feeling good. She's not eating for me. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry to hear that. That's so difficult.
Yeah.
So I'll start it off by saying I'm not a medical intuitive, and I always recommend, seeking out a veterinarian's advice and help and trusting your own instinct, because as a pet parent, you are an expert in Lucy and you're so connected. Um, the interesting thing about Lucy is in numerology, she's got this beautiful 333 energy in her name. And when we see that amplified energy, that's 33/6, the master vibration of the cosmic parent, the galactic parent. So much like, Dakota, she's very linked and tied to galactic energy, understanding universal knowledge and the mysteries of the universe. But her overall name vibrates at a 16/7, 1/6, which is 7 in numerology. That 1 and the 6, this is about the caregiver. So she's mirroring back to you how beautiful you are as a caregiver, how giving you are as a caregiver. And she's showing you and mirroring to you the same care and kindness that you show her, and the same time and nurturance you show her. She's inviting you to show yourself as well. And then, as that overall vibration of seven, when it comes to the energy of seven with our animal companions, I link that with the energy of faith in moments of crisis. And oftentimes, we learn the most about ourselves in those moments of crisis, in those dark moments of the soul. So, this is when she invites you to do things like step into new abilities. And in these moments, we are, so we are so committed, we will do anything. So any hands-on healing that you do, any energy healing that you do, this is the time to ramp it up. Anything you've been thinking about using but not playing with, she says, lay it on me. She's really open to it. And the thing that's really interesting is your first name vibrates at an 11/2, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's made up by 4, 5, and 2. So it's interesting that she's having issues around the heart because your name starts with 4, which is the number of the heart. 4 and 5. 5 is the number of choice and adventures. So part of this also, she's bringing in the reference point of the story of Guinevere, how she had to choose between Lancelot and Arthur. Lancelot being her passion, her emotion, Arthur being her sense of duty and responsibility. So she's asking you to kind of ruminate and think about that theme in your life.
Yep.
And that helps you really trust your intuition more, because part of that is you're an incredibly intuitive person. And by the way, this transition that eventually might happen, she's not showing me like an exit strategy, but as we say goodbye, it happens. If it's not already really present in your life, animal communication becomes a big like on switch, turns on. So if you're already doing it, it expands, it gets bigger. If you haven't started it yet, animal communication is coming online.
Thank you so much.
You hear that? There's like some hammering or knocking going on next door, which is like, hello, we're going to communicate.
That could be my brother as well, the knocking.
Christine, wow. Wow, very cool. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it is persistent.
No, can you hear it? Wow. Deb, blessings to you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
And best big hearts and hugs to you and Lucy. I know this is the toughest time in
Thank you.
guardianship, but you guys have a strong bond, and it continues, here and on the other side.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So we have a question from China Joy. And again, you already did a little disclosure on medical intuition, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. She's asking what you can offer to help her handle and mitigate her beloved feline companion's hyperesthesia symptoms. Do you know what hyperesthesia is? I don't.
Hyperesthesia.
And she says that her beloved feline's name is Ginger.
I love that, Ginger. And if you can write in and kind of share what that hyperesthesia syndrome is, that would be, it's hyper is uber, so it's overextended, overactive. Esthesia?
I don't know.
It is.
I thought you might have some reference, but let's see if she writes in.
Perfect.
And how about she writes in? She has fits of freaky frenzy.
Ah, interesting. Big energy moving through the body type thing. 7, 5, 9. Okay. Okay. Well, I can tell you right off the bat, looking at her name, Ginger, it ends with the 59 energy. When I see 5 and 9 side by side in numerology, boy, oh boy, is that the empathic healer. There's different kinds of healers. The 95 healer, that's big healing. I like to call it the Mother Teresa number. You're able to just kind of know what needs to be healed or shifted, and you can kind of put it out into the world. With that 59 energy of a healer, this is where you kind of have to bring things into your body like a Brita filter it out, and then put out the higher vibrations that are going on. So part of what you can do to kind of support Ginger as this empathic healer is going to be to take on a lot of the clearing of the energy in the home, kind of in the community as well, because sometimes that collective energy comes through a lot, very strongly as well. And any energetic clearing that you're able to do for yourself, do for her as well, because she needs help. Her kind of zooming around or moving around or having a lot of that hyperactivity is her trying to shake off the energy that she's been kind of filtering and shifting in her body. The energy of a school of tuna actually comes through really beautifully to help also take away some of that energy from the house, because Ginger's like, wow, we're giving your mom another task to do as if she doesn't have enough going on. So call on a school of tuna. If you've ever seen them at like the aquarium, they swim in these huge schools, and it's just like this really quick, beautiful, silvery shift of energy. So just imagine that in your space around her as well. And that should help clear the energy. But it has to do with her being that empathic healer and taking on a lot. And one thing I will mention for all of us, when our pets are doing clearings on our behalf or on behalf of the collective, a lot of times as pet parents, we think, oh my gosh, I'm causing this in my pet then. If I was only better at X, Y, Z, then they wouldn't have to take this on. Please know that is not the case. Just like us, our animal companions come here with tendencies, motivations, with jobs to do. And so for Ginger, she's cleanup crew. This is part of what she does. So make sure that as we approach our pets and we work with our pets, we realize we're not causing anything. This is a partnership and we get to collaborate together.
Mhm. I really appreciate that answer. But this also brings me to a point as well as that we partner with our pets in these way, and we're aware that we're also holding a space for them to do their purpose here in that particular way. That it's really wonderful to tune in to see how we can keep our energetic hygiene intact and be conscious about that. Because so often, especially a lot of y'all, most of us here are so empathic and pick up on the influence of energies outside of us, and we're affected by it. We get caught in vortexes that aren't necessarily ours. And so our practice of coming in and being intentional, it can be a simple practice
Mm-hmm.
but consistent, where it'll only help your pet, but it'll help you also, and it helps to keep your environment clear. So that clarity and that peace and that expansion that you're hoping to be in or to experience or to create from is made more available to you. So our pets, even in that hyper activity, they're also guiding us into how important during these times of these great expansions and how open we are to attune into something new that is coming in and what it takes to calibrate towards that. Um, I'm not surprised that our pets are picking up and acting out maybe even more than they have in the past. And we'll call it acting out, but supporting more than they have in the past.
I love that. And as you say that, yes, we do want to make sure that, we're pulling our weight, we're working on ourselves, we're expanding in ourselves. And with our pets, sometimes, they come with a perfect condition that becomes a perfect complement to it for us to do just that.
Mm.
The other thing also that comes through, because I was able to also pull the numerology of your name, Chona, as Chona Joy. Your name is all ones, which is interesting.
Mm.
Your first name Chona is 38, 65, 1. When I see 3 and 8, that's 11. When I see 6 and 5, that's 11. So it's basically 1, 1, 1. You are incredibly intuitive. So also as you're clearing the space, remember to clear the energy before and after you do meditations, communications, because we also want to be mindful about what we're kind of channeling and bringing in. And you are the perfect, not antidote, but complement to Ginger, because that 111 is that master grounded energy. In order to be highly intuitive, you also have to be very grounded in your energy to be able to receive as big of energy that you're receiving. So know that even your grounded energy is helpful to Ginger as well. Imagine how much more hyper she'd be if you
Mm.
were also with the 7, 9s, and 5s, which her energy is a repetition of 795759. So she's that double healer, but all higher chakra numbers, whereas you really bring that grounded energy for her. So you guys are
Mm.
just a match made in heaven.
Amazing. Amazing. All right, Shonda. Blessings to you on your journey with her, with Ginger. Um, Helma, welcome to the call.
Thank you for taking my call. Hi, Denise. My cat, Gracie, is 9 years old, and she has like a little lump growing by the end of her spine. And I have called a holistic vet, and she's on mushroom supplements. But my intuition isn't good enough to see if she has any pain or if she is comfortable or if I should do anything else.
Thank you for that. I'm just doing some math here and I'm going to pull out a calculator for a little help. And it's so good to see you again, Helma. I know
See you too.
7 plus 9 plus 1 plus 3 plus 9 plus 5 equals 34. Okay. Interesting how many pets we have. It's always like this on shows. She too vibrates at a 7. We've had 3 different 7 pets right now. But her energy vibrates at a 34, which is interesting. So her energy is 34 over 7. So she also is about that big picture, about helping you have faith in moments of crisis and really step in and trust your own abilities as she's going through this experience. The interesting thing that comes through with her is Gracie is that 95 healer. So she is a big Mother Teresa healer. She's able to do a lot of healing. And so I'm like, Gracie, what's up? Heal yourself. And she's like, it's not my role to heal myself. It's for Helma to work with this understanding and relationship with this growth. The interesting thing that she specifies is the growth. You mentioned it's at the base of the tail, right? So it's technically outside of her. It'd be very different if there was a growth that was like in her stomach or something that you couldn't really see that would need an x-ray for. And this is by design. She's saying this growth is on the outside so that Helma can play and experiment and be able to visually see what's going on and what's not going on. And for you, there's a little bit of this relief, or the placement is very specific because it's not attached to any like major organ that could cause failure. So it's almost like an interesting dress for you. It's like if she had to have it, that's a good place to have it because you can see it and it's not attached to anything kind of life challenging, right? The other thing she's saying about that is that this is for you to play and to have a more playful attitude with it. She doesn't feel pain. If there is any pain, she's always able to just step out of her body and get back in. This goes for so many of us and brings so much comfort for us to understand that with our animal companions, they're not as attached to their physical bodies as we are. So for them, it's like a coat. They're like, oh, I'll step out of it. I'll come back in, no problem. So they're able to mitigate pain in a very different way. They don't have fear of pain. So it's not something that they're worried about. That's something that she's having you examine as well. What's the perception of suffering for you and for others? And how have you looked at that in the past and tried to either run away or embrace or deal with? So it's a little bit of this reflection period about that's going on through this process.
Yeah. So I can just also continue giving her mushroom supplements and also do a lot of energy healing on her too.
And anything else that comes to mind. It's really about playing, pulling in, and it's what she's also saying is it's almost like whatever this is part of you kind of experimenting a bunch of different things to see what you enjoy the most. Because mushrooms might be effective, as could like Reiki, for example, but you might find in this game that what you really enjoyed was playing with like color therapy, right? And working with colors and the vibrations and frequency of colors and numbers to really kind of work with that energy. So this is a little bit of a playground or experiment for you to play and find what you're passionate about.
Okay, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I'll continue doing that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Thank you, Denise. And yeah, and blessings to you and your companion and her pain and your love for her. It's so beautiful, truly, to witness. All right. I'd love to get into this because there's a few things that I think I want to go down a few threads here. But Kathleen wrote in, and she's saying her dog Callie's 12 years old, Kali, by the way, in great shape for her age, but starting to slow down. How can I best support her in this time in her life?
Beautiful. What a beautiful question. So let me just pull the numerology here. 12, 13. Okay, I love this. Kathleen, 3. Wow. So Kathleen, you have 555 within your name. So that's a lot of amplified energy at the end of your name, amplified 5 energy. And your name starts with 11 and has 11 in between. And so Callie's name starts with 11 over 2. So you guys share a lot in terms of intuition. And also, she's saying this is not your first rodeo together. So this is a lifetime. This is one of many, right? This isn't it, not the first, not the last. And so what Callie is saying is the best way that you can support her is by really celebrating the wisdom that she's bringing through. Callie has so much wisdom, a lot of grandmother energy. In the same way that, some of us who have experienced our grandmothers maybe, slowly going through their transition, they want to share their story. They want to pass along their gifts. They want to pass along their knowledge, the strength, because they love us and it's a legacy. So for Callie, it's a lot about spending that time understanding the different stories through the different experiences that you guys have had together. And one very specific way she's talking about it is either journaling or drawing, whichever art form you feel most potent. It's about capturing your experiences together. And this leads to, if it hasn't already, into really beautiful, and she's being specific, Palladian light language.
Mm,
Because that, if it hasn't yet, that flows through you like a river, like a waterfall, like the most natural song and vibration that comes out of you. And that becomes a way to honor her and always remember her and always bring her into your work while she's here and beyond.
mm. I so appreciate that you tune into the wisdom part of what she's holding and to honor that because that's exactly what I was picking up. It's she's she's a sage at this time in her life in this particular phase, and to honor that is it's probably the best way to support her in her transition.
Yeah, absolutely. Bearing witness.
Hmm. What can we do with Kathleen's heart as she starts as she's preparing for the heartbreak of
Mm.
losing Callie? Because obviously it sounds like some of that is a preparation for what is going to be inevitable, but I don't get that it's happening quite just yet, though.
I agree. And I think that's a great question for so many of us on the call, right? Because whether our pets are having a long goodbye where they're showing kind of physical decline, or it's something really instantaneous and unexpected that happens, that heartbreak is so important. And this is where of course, honoring the heartbreak, just like we honor, Callie's wisdom, honoring the cycle, the cyclical nature of pet guardianship, right? We have them as puppies, we see them through life, and then we hold their hand as we say goodbye. And
Mm,
this is the most generous, loving thing and the most sacred moment we can have with our pets. Because what we're doing is we're helping celebrate them into the new energetic state, into
mm,
a lighter sense of being back into the collective. There's so many of those expressions like celebrating them home. And
mm,
this is something that a lot of pets, um, it's not that they don't trust everyone to do it because we're not always around, because sometimes it's harder for them if we are, because they know that it's going to be hard for us. They just want to go through it whether or not we're there. But there's something so beautiful that expands your heart. Through that heartache, through that crying, you realize the bond, the openness, the expansiveness.
mm,
And what comes to mind is my 12-year-old nephew. He had a hamster for a short while, bless his heart, and we had to say goodbye to him. He wasn't around for long, but there was a picture of him holding this hamster at the vet and with a tear. It was
mm,
the most beautiful, pure, photo I've seen in my life of this bond between a boy and his hamster. And
Wow.
that's the energy that we get to tap into in those moments. It's not fun necessarily, it's not light, but there's a purity and a power to it that
Mm.
as we're going through it, if we can capture that moment or take a moment to realize the purity of it, it helps propel us and understand how big our hearts are, their relationships are with us, and how we're able to continue it as we become more multidimensional and we're bigger in the energy, more prevalent.
Hmm. And Kathleen wrote, I just want to follow up, and I've got a final question for you as we wind up today's call because I'm gonna leave y'all with a beautiful nugget that I know Denise is going to channel through for us. But Kathleen, sure, a couple of things. So she feels Callie's got lots of years left. She's just grateful for her, and she also just published a book about helping people grieve their dogs, discover their purpose, and connect with them on the other side. Callie sat beside me the whole time she helped.
Ah,
There's that wisdom again. I got the chills. Yeah.
love that, Kathleen. And what a gift you're giving people,
Hmm.
because not only to feel understood and seen as pet parents when we lose a pet, but for you to also not only share your experience and your wisdom, but to give tools and help. That is just such a loving, expansive thing to do. So thank you for publishing that book.
So beautiful. So I have a spirit animal question for you. Before I get into the question, y'all, the special offer of Denise, it's again all three packages, the 30 minutes, the PDFs, the going deeper into the shape shifting, the communicate. It's just chock full of so much helpful and expanding um energy and insights and guidance and groundedness that I hope you all have an opportunity to participate in it. The link for the special offers in the chat box. It's underneath the video where you're watching the call from. It's in the comments section on the YouTube page as well. Y'all dive in deeper. Denise, is there a particular spirit animal or guide that you're feeling that is perhaps guiding those of us on the call today or listening to the replay as we transition into the 1212 gateway that's opening up, the 1221 shift of energies, and then moving forward into the beginning of the year of the horse?
I love it. I had a really beautiful experience where I was sitting on my couch and I have a big window that looks out to the building across the courtyard. And there was a raven sitting on it. And all of a sudden, from behind him came a wave of ravens and
Wow.
flew through my window and over me. And they're cawing this whole time. And it was a wave. It was as if this one little raven was directing, like, now group one, group two, group three. And it was
Wow.
just more ravens than I've ever seen in my life. It was like an ocean of waves of ravens coming through. And ravens are known to be shapeshifters. They're known to be able to go in and out of the physical and the energetic realm. And they're known to be black, but they're also known to be white. So that the message that they bring through through that experience and also for all of us here is that reminder that all of us on this call are really beautiful and adept at navigating energy, navigating timelines, shifting through. And that fluidity is such a beautiful trait and energy to bring into the new year. Because as we do that, we're able to weave new timelines together, bring 5D energy into the 3D world, and really anchor that in alongside our animal companions with that guidance and that magic and mysticism of Raven coming through. Um, and if Raven doesn't resonate with you, think about what animal does, and like let's tap into that. That's the beauty of animals. Everybody has different associations with them and different personal relationships. And one thing they do want to state is it's never wrong. You can't be wrong when it comes to our animal companions or animals in the wild. Trust your relationship, trust your intuition. It's unique. The most important thing that they want you to do is explore, observe, go deeper. And through that, we're able to harness it and bring it into our daily lives, our relationship with our pets, into our businesses, our careers, our communities. And as beautiful points of light with huge hearts that are, I think everybody here is in some way connected to animals. we're able to shift the energy of the collective, not only our own, but that of the world. And as we go into New Year, that's such a fun thought and goal to have going forward.
Beautiful. Well, Denise, thank you. Another extraordinary call on Beyond the Ordinary with you. It's just, you just level it up every time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Um,
And thank you to everyone who shared their stories, their pets, because that helps us all relate to each other and better understand some of the more theoretical, didactic information we get to experience it practically.
And we amplify this field for one another. We're guiding each other into our individual and collective expansion, and how beautiful and how purposeful is that? And to have all these guides that we can become aware of and intentional with, supporting our journey is, it's such a gift. And so I bow down in namaste to the gift that each and every one of y'all are. Thank you for being on this call, and I look forward to seeing y'all on the next one. Have a great day.